Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the world receiving our signals through the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by entirely all of us. Not a few, but all of us. Anyway, folks, before we get any further, welcome to Monday. I hope you have a wonderful Monday, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. But without further ado, let's go into the studio where we have sitting there, Los Genios, the geniuses. How you doing? Good morning, my brothers.
Well, I still think it's more like Laurel and Hardy.
Nah.
If you saw us in the morning, you'd think Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, you'd see what the cat drug in. It is Monday morning, the 24th of February, 2025, and good morning to you, world. And we have Jack's wisdom over here since I don't have anything. So let's get to Jack's wisdom. And then we got our special guest, Interim General Manager Sandy Wyman, to come in. And we'll get to you in just a minute there, Sandy.
All right. Good morning, Egberto.
Buenos dias. How you doing, my dear brother?
I'm feeling out. Okay, the word of the day is, well, it's three words: expansionistic neocolonialism. What is it?
That is a mouthful.
It sounds just right. I can't wait.
It's what our oligarchs are resorting to as a way of control. They're going back to colonization techniques to claim new lands, expansion.
You know, I can't argue with that at all. I mean, there are two, or I should say three great things. One have a direct effect on me. The other has a direct effect on everybody. One, hey, you know, we want Greenland. And why do we want Greenland? All those minerals and raw resources we have there. Hey, if we want to protect Europe, meaning protect Ukraine, somehow, hey, give us half of your minerals. Hey, you know what? We want to make sure and control commerce around the world. Take the canal, take the Panama Canal. So I think you just about nailed it, my brother.
All right.
That's you got it. Hey, you know what? Hey, that is the shortest one you've given us thus far, my brother. The shortest one, Jack Van Bibba.
I've got a little one here I wrote before that. Trump's attack on federal workers is only the beginning. Next will be low-wage workers, then labor and unions. First, he'll take away or undermine workers' rights. Then he'll take your money with increased taxes. As MAGA realizes Trump and Musk are here to take them to the cleaners, they have a safe place to land with progressives.
There you. Oh, I love it. I wrote a blog on that a couple of nights ago. You nailed it right there. Anyway, the title of the show today is Reverse Tea Party in Progress. MAGA will help us take on Trump. Project 2025 taking worker rights. Let me tell you something, guys. Look. The nice thing about working for the federal government, these are civil service jobs. When you fill out a civil service exam, you're not asked if you're a Republican. You're not asked if you're a Democrat. You're not asked if you're agnostic. You're not asked any of those questions. The only thing that's important is that you can do the job. Nothing more, nothing less. And when Trump ran for president, he lied and he said, we are not here to implement Project 2025. I don't even know what that is. He was also there to tell you that no, we are going to shrink the government and we're going to take out waste and fraud and all of that. And it turns out that waste and fraud that Donald Trump meant to initially take care of was government workers. And since government workers, we don't know if a government worker is a Republican, Democrat, MAGA, progressive, liberal. We don't know who they are in the aggregate. And we have a guy who goes out there and he just goes into a department and says, cut 20%. What do you think that means? A lot of those people that got cut were also MAGA people, our brothers and sisters on the MAGA, from the MAGA persuasion. And they're just realizing that they are caught up in the purge. In other words, it's not let the libs have it. It is let us all have it. And that's what's happening right now. So over the weekend, and again, guys, if you want to cut me in anytime to get our initial plug from Sandy, just let me know. But anyhow, as it turns out, I wrote this blog title, No Worries, MAGA will help us. We have been trying to get sustainers so that we can reduce the amount of fund drives we have. We know you want to hear all news, all music, all whatever we're doing. And because we have gotten more and more sustainers, and for all of you that are sustainers, I want to give you a big thank you. Think about it. Sandy was able to drop the number of pledge drives this year by one. We're no longer going to have one. I think Sandy said it's in August. Which fund drive is it that we're going to be dropping? One of these. Which one, Sandy?
August drive. The August drive.
There we go. And think about that. We're able to drop a fund drive. We're able to not pester you for a whole 3-4 weeks because our sustainer base is growing. And as you become sustainers, you are helping the entire listener, the listener ambiance, if you will. And here are the options that I would like to suggest as supporting features. One is a $5 sustainer, which, $5 a month, it's like a coffee a month. You can also provide a $10 sustainer, which is, a couple of coffees a month. I can tell you that is what I do. I am, I'm just an activist, guys. I can't do what I used to do before. So I do $10 a month. And by the way, I believe in supporting organizations doing this kind of a work. So I support many organizations at $10 a month, some at $15 a month. It's so important for us to do this because if we're solely dependent on the corporate structure, and grants from these, all of these things come with strings attached. When it comes from you, there's absolutely no strings attached, and we can be 100% you knowing that what you're getting here is what you want, need, and there's no pitch, there's nothing behind it. This is your station. This is your program, your programs, plural. There's a sense of ownership that one feels when they provide that support. Right now, Politics Done Right, I'm looking at the screen, is at zero. We need to get to $500. We're at zero. Go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Please hit the donate button. Be sure to select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting and give whatever you can, however you can. And please do it early if you can so I can call you out on air because love to do that if that's what you'd accept from us to do. Anyhow, title of the show is, let me get to that screen. Wait a minute. I need to go not to the first blog, but to the title of the show. The title of the show is Reverse Tea Party in Progress. MAGA will help us take on Trump. Project 2025 taking worker rights. And like I said, Donald Trump, if you heard some of our MAGA brothers and sisters calling in to this show, both here at KPFT and on the 3:00 show, many of them would say, "Oh, Egberto, you guys are lying. Donald Trump says he doesn't know what Project 2025 is." They'll also say, Donald Trump says he's not doing anything about Project 2025. And, I don't know. By now, most of you, whether MAGA or otherwise, should understand that Donald Trump is likely the biggest liar bar none. If you listen to his words, I am sorry. He cannot get through an interview without multiple lies. Okay? But anyway, one of his first appointments was Russell Vought. Russell Vought was one of the lead architects of 2025, and he didn't just get any job. He got the job Office of Management and Budget. That's where all the country's monies pretty much are identified, controlled, etc. So there's no two ways about it. You can find a list of all the things in this guy's first 4 weeks from Project 2025, from destroying the government by laying people off to getting rid of DEI, where in fact right now we've lost women admirals, women officers, women leaders in the gazoo in our military. And I want you to think about this. We were talking about why did Trump get so many women voters when we understand that a lot of his policies were anti-women policies. Women, just like many people of color, etc., under various administrations, including some Republican administrations, have been making strides because their capabilities and efforts were no longer denied. You know, everybody tries to frame DEI as somehow doing something for those people that are not qualified. Oh, it is a diminishing of standards to get certain people jobs that they don't deserve. That has never been DEI. That has never been affirmative action. Now, has affirmative action or DEI caused the employment of women or people of color that were unqualified? That is a qualified yes. But guess what? From the existence of employment, have there been people, white men and others, employed that had no right having that job? The answer is yes. So that is across the board. So when one singles out, well, that woman was unqualified for that job, it's not DEI or affirmative action that did it. It's the same interpersonal relationships that occurred with hiring in general that would have caused that. But it makes a good excuse, a good narrative to blame a program that ensures all have equal access to success, equal access to a job, to try to make that somehow we are trying to bring people in that are undeserving, or bring people in that didn't deserve a job. And that is what we have to run from. But women are seeing that right now with these troglodytes that are running the Trump administration. Because what these troglodytes are doing now is taking us right back to the 20s, right back to the 1800s, as they would make you believe. And I don't blame MAGA for any of this. You know, many of you are my friends. Come on, you know it. I have coffee with you here in Kingwood. But here's the thing. The psychological game that's been played on too many of us by having us look at the other as being, they are taking something that is mine, that I deserve, just because of how they look or their gender. That has always been false. What has always been true is that people, women, people who look like me, have not had the opportunity, the ability, the entrance, the way to get in. And that's what DEI and affirmative action and these programs did. Don't ever sit back and believe. Like I said, it is true that I have friends, good friend, white guy, look at me and said, I didn't get this job because they were compelled, he said compelled, but they wanted to hire or change the way that company looked, and they hired this guy, and I was the most qualified. Do I believe my friend who told me that? Of course I believe him. But again, that has nothing to do with the program in general. It has everything to do with just what has always happened. So, moving on. I wrote this blog about MAGA. Now it's going to help us because you're going to see ultimately, and I'm not talking about and I say this with respect, I'm not talking about the nutcases that cannot critically think no matter what's presented in front of them. I'm talking about those who say, oh my God, I was given the impression that this stuff wouldn't happen. So this is what I'm going to read a piece of what I wrote before I get to the phone. I wrote the 50.2 of American voters who did not vote for Trump and the millions who did not bother to vote at all are in a state of despair as they watch Trump and his co-president Elon Musk dismantle the government. Trump and his sycophants are doing to most of the government what they said they would. They're doing exactly what they said they would. Many of the folks who voted for him, including women, didn't believe that's what he said he was going to get rid of women. Headset have always been saying women don't belong in the military. MAGA thought that a government run by liberals and progressives and policies they perceive to give others unearned benefits and privilege, read diversity, equity, and inclusion, was the cause of their misery. To be clear, we have never had a government where progressive values took center stage in the aggregate. Of note, DEI does not give anyone advantages or privileges. It simply ensures that the historically privileges of some people do not prevent the competent and qualified people historically aggrieved from being excluded. The imaginary genius Elon Musk may come to our rescue. I will explain, but first let me point out some realities. I always cringe when I hear Elon Musk referred to as an engineer or a genius. He is neither. He has a BA in physics and a BS in economics from the University of Pennsylvania. Musk hit the jackpot with a loan from his daddy during the tech bubble years when a website with a concept, valid or not, gave companies billion-dollar capitalization on a whim. Musk is an expert in parasitic capitalism, just as Trump is. While there are exceptions, a sect with the privilege of access to capital could become billionaires, even as they intrinsically created nothing to move society forward. None of the technologies used in Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and Starlink were generated by his intellect, but by the collective knowledge of scientists and engineers, mainly funded by taxpayer dollars. Most innovators and inventors received salaries and wages as those with capital parasitically grew their wealth on the backs of the workers and innovators. In other words, the people who create, invent, innovate, they're not the billionaires. They just get a salary. So that proves that just the salary doesn't stunt innovation. And these huge profits that these guys get are just, well, let's move on. In America, we have been indoctrinated into the belief that excelling in capital acquisition makes one inherently smarter or above most people, when the opposite is true. Musk has the time to parade himself around the country and government because others are doing the work, which makes it clear that the billionaire class is not required at all, nor did they earn it. Musk and Trump hoodwinked MAGA into installing their Führer. They did not even care if he became a dictator who would own the libs because they believed he would be their protector. But after they acquired power, instead of competence and genius in implementing what they said they would, they showed they were neither. A competent Führer and his sidekick would use their purported genius to use AI and analytics to cause minimal pain to those MAGA who got them their power. What I mean by that is, if they were really out protecting MAGA, there are instruments that you could have used within AI to match people in government and otherwise to know, don't harm MAGA. But they didn't even do that. They didn't care enough about you, MAGA, to make sure you weren't harmed. They didn't care about you. A genius would know that parading himself with a chainsaw at CPAC as people, including their supporters, are realizing they are losing their jobs directly and indirectly, food stamps, SNAP, Medicaid, and potentially Medicare, would change the national psyche. While there are diehard MAGA out there that will take a spear to the heart to protect their Führer and to own the libs, enough of them want to eat, enough of them want to see a doctor. While reversible, much of what Trump and Musk have released on us will inoculate in the minds of many, MAGA or not, the notion that the Trump administration is a clear and present danger to their personal economies. That makes MAGA our improbable allies. Again, that is enough to make many in the MAGA movement our allies. Many don't see that yet, but I'm telling you, MAGA will be our allies. While I take a lot of flack for reaching out and always keeping the door open to my MAGA brothers and sisters on my platforms, I can understand those who cannot stomach it. But some of us must. We must give them a place to land and accept them as allies when necessary for a mutually beneficial cause, and that is now. We must continue and join the organic Tea Party-like movement. Not Tea Party, Tea Party-like movement. They were very effective. I am watching this time against this occur right now against Republican congresspersons. We should use that opportunity to engage MAGA and MAGA adjacent voters and show commonality. We are at a flex point where counter change happens. MAGA will help us stop Trump for the well-being of those who still possess a working mind. And that's the end of that blog with a few of my little entrances. But folks, we are in Fund Drive, and I am still at a big fat zero. Bruce, I'm coming to you in a little bit. kpft.org, hit the donate button. Go ahead and select the program, Politics Done Right, and give us whatever you can. I'm coming to you, Bruce, in a minute. Joe from Los Angeles, California, welcome aboard. Patrick Baron, where are you from, Patrick? I don't think you ever told me. Eric from Atascocita, Kingwood. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. And I don't know where Speaking Nutshell is from. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Egberto. I've got a whole paragraph to read. It's not real long. Can I read it uninterrupted?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I know of a conspiracy, and it must be true because I made it up. There are 150-year-old oligarchs still receiving benefits from the tax cuts. In the same way of DOGE, well, I don't want to say DOGE. I don't shop at Target, I shop at Target. So I'm going to call it Doggy. In the same way, we should demand company records, have a committee formed to demand the company records from these oligarchs, their bank records, personal, social security numbers, etc. They should be told to terminate all positions of management or offer buyouts. And we need a name, an acronym, so for this committee to look into it. So we can't use billionaires under total transparency because that spells BUTT. And we can't use billionaires or other barbaric internal examination because that spells boobies. So I'm going to go with Department Investigating Literally Degenerate Oligarchs, DILDO. Pronounced Daldo. You say tomato, I say tomato. we use Daldo to probe the billionaires in the same way as what Musk is doing. In other words, dog-e style. And any money that we recover should go back to the people to be split between restarting U.S. aid, Social Security, national debt, maybe a stimulus, etc. The other thing I have to say is inane as I sound right now, is no more inane than what Musk is doing to the American poor, Americans middle class. It's no more inane than Hegseth putting white supremacy over national security by firing the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I'm done.
Bruce, how long did it take you to figure that one out? That was pretty ingenious. I mean, interesting, but quite ingenious. Thank you, my brother.
So,
go ahead.
Egberto, can I tell you real quick how I came up with it?
Yes.
I was half asleep, falling asleep in a chair watching TV, and the warped side of my brain bitch slapped me awake and said, "You got to write this down." So in a half awake, half asleep days, I wrote this down on a piece of paper. And then when I looked at it this morning, I could hardly read my writing. I said, "But I got to call this in. Maybe Egberto will let me get by with it. Maybe he won't." But so I'm done.
Thank you, my brother. Bruce, you're a good man. You're a good man. Thank you so kindly for that. Welcome aboard as well. Gayla Kunis from Evans, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Let's go to Jose. Vamos, Jose.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
Yes, I wanted to give Brian a message. Brian, my brother, whether you know it or not, Elon Musk and Trump is playing you like a fiddle. And so what I'm about to say is I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I think he's a fascist orange pig. With that being said, people are getting tired of being oppressed, depressed, suppressed, and the revolution, the civil unrest, the resistance is coming, and they better watch out because we got Republicans, we got transgenders, we got all kinds of people because this nation was built on immigrants, and we can't let oligarchs like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, that's a fascist, to get away with it. So there's going to be civil unrest, like I said, resistance, and a revolution coming to a town near you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so kindly, Jose. Let me just say this, right? We are going to have a peaceful revolution. We're not going to give Donald Trump the option to try to use what the people do to create martial law, because that's the next thing on the agenda. The agenda is the expectation that people get unhinged in certain locales for them to put their goons in there and give them a reason to declare martial law, at which time voting and all of that goes away. We're not going to allow that. We are going to make sure with activism to be very circumspect in the way it is done. And thus far, it is happening that way. You know what's the unfortunate thing? There's a whole lot of protests going on around the country. And while MSNBC and others are covering it, MSNBC more so than most, a lot of people just think it's not happening. And in thinking that, people have a tendency to believe we're just slacking. No, there's no slacking going on. It is happening, but it's just peaceful. And you know how the mainstream media is. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. They would love to see things bleeding. They would love to see fires. They would love to see destruction. That doesn't have to happen with good, solid, well-designed protests. I remember working with a woman with the ERA, and she said, "Egberto, you know what? It's a protest that we had that was very effective. 10,000 people in silence. It's scary." She said you would not imagine what it's like. All right, Anthony, come on in line. Before I go to Anthony, folks, I'm still at 0. I want to ask you to give a call at 713-526-5738, extension 1. Give whatever you can. $5 a month, a coffee a month, which is next to, you don't even miss that. 2 coffees a month, $10 a month is what I give. A T-shirt, a Politics and Right T-shirt, $100. Or you can go ahead and provide us with whatever you can. Let's go to Teresa. Teresa, come on in. Okay. Anthony, come on in. All right, let's see who we have here. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, Anthony, you're on.
Yeah, you started out your program talking about DEI, and when Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff,
right.
C.Q. Brown, black 4-star general, fighter pilot. I mean, the guy deserved to be where he was. Doesn't matter what color of his skin. I mean, he earned what he got. Nobody gave him anything. And I'm sure when he started in the military 40 years ago, it probably wasn't the greatest place for a black fighter pilot, but he stuck it out and he made his way all the way to the top. And then, of course, the admiral, I can't think of her name right now, the chief of naval operations, she got fired. And then don't forget about, the first thing he did was they fired the female
Coast Guard,
of the Coast Guard. So, I mean, there's definitely a pattern going here. You hit the nail on the head. But I think it really goes deeper than that, because I think what he's trying to do is he literally dug his hand all the way down into the pot, and he drug out a retired 3-star general to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Passed over 400 4-star generals, active duty 4-star generals, to find this guy. I mean, this is 1938 Germany all over again. I know I keep bringing up these parallels, but I can't help it. I mean, when Hitler came into power, the first thing he did in 1938 was he fired the 2 top-ranking generals in the army. And when they didn't want to go away initially, he had his people develop scandals on him. One of them, he accused his wife of being promiscuous, and you can, think whatever you want to think about that. And the other one, I think he said he was a homosexual. So he got rid of those 2 guys, and at that point, he just appointed himself as the leader of the Vermont. And as we know how all that turned out. So
yeah, Anthony, I got to go. But first of all, you're right about that. And the other thing is that's why we're out here telling the story. The country made a mistake, and I think a lot of folks have started to realize that they made a mistake. And we are here to say it's not over. And the base of my article today, MAGA will be our ally. I wasn't saying that in tongue in cheek. I actually mean that. But let's talk another time. I need to go to Teresa, Anthony. But thank you so kindly for your call and your wise words.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Teresa, come on in.
How are you doing?
I am doing fine. Good morning, my friend.
I just love what you have very astute listeners, and obviously people listening from all over the world, and that's very refreshing because they all add something to the piece of the puzzle. I think you're right in saying that we're not going to achieve this through violence, although in a way that's the only thing that this man respects. Because he's just a bully. And I've never really wished violence on this person, but I do always hope that he will get what he deserves. So, and speaking of deserving, I know that the Ukrainians are meeting today in front of City Hall at 5:00. So perhaps those people that are listening can spread the word that if you want to support those people, I just met I was at it wasn't called a town hall. I was at a legislative assembly for a United States representative earlier this week. And there was someone there who was saying to this person in Congress, what are you going to do for the Ukrainians? What are you going to do about the Ukrainians? I can't forget that. I don't think we can forget that Congress designated money, and the first impeachment was all about the person in the White House trying to get that money delayed for his own benefit, for his own campaign. So the Ukrainians will be at City Hall at 5:00, and I think it would be an awesome opportunity for people to meet them and show some support, because these people are going at democracy the hard way.
Yes, they are, Teresa. Teresa, you're absolutely right, and thanks for bringing that up about the what's occurring today at City Hall with the Ukrainian organization. And I think you have another thing coming up at your Milbank Tea House, I believe.
Yes, Milburn Coffee House on March the 8th will have Amanda Pascali. Amanda, I think, was working on a degree when I met her at U of H, but she has since then gone into the music field, and she sings the music of the American immigrant experience, which I think is particularly relevant and kind of maybe even dangerous these days. But she's going to be, if you go to milben.org, you can see about Amanda Pascali. And I'm inviting immigrants, and in fact, I invited this woman that I met, a Ukrainian, and there will be lots of Ukrainians there, and there will be immigrants from Canada and China and other places. And it's going to be a great opportunity for people to hear her music. It's amazing music, and she has performed at the Kennedy Center and across Europe, and was a Fulbright scholar. And she has two immigrant parents, one I think from Russia, who was opposed to the government. Anyway, so it should be a very, very entertaining evening, and I hope people will come.
Thank you, super, Teresa, and thank you for all the work that you do. Great work that you do. First of all, I'm coming to you, Ray, in a second, but I want to say this. We see what's happening with Donald Trump right now. We see what's happening in the country right now. We see the malaise that's going on. We see the angst that people are going through. A lot of people are in despair. A lot of people don't know what to do. And, many a times we ask ourselves, why is it that X doesn't do something? Why aren't they doing something about it? Well, look, all of us that you're listening to right now, Sandy, Howard, Jack, myself, even some of you that are that are calling in all the times, every single one of those callers that you've heard thus far are great supporters of this station, this program as well. We all have to do it collectively. And if we do this collectively, it costs us all less, not only in the amount we provide to support an asset like we have here at KPFT, but also it saves us from the pilfering that is occurring right now. Think about how much we save if we are able to educate in such a manner that people start voting their interests, that people, in as much as they've elected a tyrant right now, that they can go out there and say, I still have control over my congressperson who can attenuate, who can mitigate what that tyrant is going to do. We still have the power to do that if we have the power to inform, if we have the power to tell others, you still have power to make a change. A lot of times we ask, well, that other person's going to do it. That other person is really you. I remember while doing software, I had a software company, and I complained as hell about our politics. And I remember one night sitting right here in my home studio and saying, it was a home office then. Now it's a home studio in my home office then, and saying, somebody got to do something. Somebody got to do something. And then I looked and I realized, well, hell, if everybody says somebody has to do something, nobody does anything. And that's when I gave up everything and said, that somebody, you are one of those somebodies. You are one of those somebodies. I want to thank kindly, Lauren, the first contribution of the day, a new person as well as a sustainer. Thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly for being that first person. We need about 10 more of what she just did. Folks, we can do this together. We can do this together. Let's jump to Brother Ray. Ray, come on in, sir.
Oh, I want to also echo your thank you to that person who contributed, because, the powers above know that if I had, and $1 million in the bank, you probably get at least 10.
I hear you, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, just being honest, $1 million don't go that far in this economy. But I digress. I actually called because I've been, actually coming from a place of hope and optimism, because I've been seeing these videos pop up with constituents, flexing their power and letting their Republican representatives know, we don't get down with this, and we need you to give us some answers. And they're like, oh, well, if you stop yelling at me, no, you need to say what you need to say, so we don't have to yell at you. And I feel like what we need to do as the people, Democratic and Republican voters, we need to build on that energy, apply pressure. That's what we need to do, because at the end of the day, we only have one Jasmine Crockett, we only have one Ayanna Presley. But truth be told, we need to put their feet to the fire on every account, and that includes, I'm very fond of my congressman, Mr. Al Green, but I don't know if he's getting a little up there in age. Maybe it's time for somebody to take his place, because I know he's fought for civil rights, and I'm proud to support him. But I had talked to an organizer that was in a space, and they asked him, "What are you doing?" And there was a deafening silence, and I'm like, not Al Green, because I look highly up to him, but like I say, he's been in the fight for so long. Maybe there's somebody needs to step up and take that place. I'm
going to interrupt you, and I'm going to tell you straight up to your face, you've been stepping up. I've seen Teresa, who just called in, been stepping up. Bruce has been stepping up. And the thing about it is that breeds action. Your call breeds action. Teresa's call breeds action. Bruce's call breeds action. I'm listening. I'm watching our, we're streaming all over. We're also streaming on Substack. I'm watching Joy Kirkpatrick. I'm watching Lisa Sherman. I'm watching LBW, Roxy, all of these guys being involved. They're doing something. And if I haven't mentioned you on Substack, forgive me, because the screen is not amenable for me looking at all the folks on it right now. But we look at the YouTube live, same thing. We are making a difference, people, but we have to remain positive and engaged. Hey, Ray, I got to go. I'll talk to you at 3:00 on the 3:00 show. All right, brother?
All right, bro. I'll be listening. Take care.
All right. You take care now. Eddie's, hit that donate button. Give whatever you can. And then select Politics Done Right as a program, or call 713-526-5738, extension 1. Folks, think about this. $5 a month, you don't feel that. $10 a month, that's 2 coffees. You don't feel that. You go to Starbucks, you go to a coffee shop, no problem. And you do it, no problem whatsoever. Why not help democracy? Help us inform. Help do our part in informing those of, look, I talk a lot about my MAGA brothers and sisters, how uninformed they are. They're not uninformed. They are very informed, but they are informed by a systemic group of people and billionaires, etc., who feed them with lies. If we hadn't had the option of first getting someone truthfully informing us, that could be us. I have relatives that's them. We have to, but they have billionaires to invest in the misinformation. We have you. And when I say that, I cannot be more honest in saying that. All we got is you. Because the ill-informer, misinformers, disinformers are good. And they're psychologically great because they pay for the psychological ticks. They know how to make you believe. Though that other is the problem. They put us against each other. And in doing so, the magic is we don't look at those who are harming us. So we thank him so kindly for his generosity and love for KPFT. So folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738 extension 1. Hey, $10 a month, $5 a month, whatever you can. Or a one-time, the Politics and Right t-shirt, $100. A lot of ways to help us. Let's go to Kyle. Come on in, Kyle.
Egberto.
Yes, Kyle.
Yes, sir. I love the radio station, and it is good that you are having the radio station for people who want to speak and say things for their business.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening, Kyle. I appreciate you calling, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, and you keep listening, keep telling people about us, okay?
When's the next time I can be online?
You can call anytime you want to, my brother. Anytime. This is your station. This is your radio. But thank you, my brother Kyle. You have a great day. Let's talk to brother Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your volunteer work. I donated Friday. If I can, anybody else can. I don't see why you don't. So,
and Brian, that is before you go, Brian, that is appreciated because we are in contention all of the times, and that you see the reason for having free speech. You will always be my brother. Talk.
Yeah, I need to talk about term limitations. We already have them. Term limits? Yeah, we already have them. It's called the voter. They get to vote people out. They get to vote people in. That is a form of free speech. So why is Nancy Pelosi worth like $220 million when she's making $140,000 a year? And I believe her husband is worth $170,000. Did they get that information from the inside of the halls of Congress? Or are they just incredibly lucky with their stock options?
You know what, Brian? Brian, let me just tell you, it's amazing, but you and I are going to be in agreement with that, but we'll talk about that at another time. But brother, I agree with you. And we're going to talk about that as it affects politicians across the board. So let's talk about that another day. I do need to raise some money. So let's go ahead and do that. But you're absolutely right, brother. All right.
I hope you raise a lot of money. I'll help you do that.
Thank you, sir. You too, my man. All right. Let me see, folks. We have about 4 minutes to go. Go to kpft.org. Hit that donate button. Select Politics and Right as a show you're supported, and give whatever you can. It is clear to me that Elon Musk is mentally ill. It's clear to me that he has no sense of empathy, feelings, or anything else. I mean, when you go to CPAC talking about cutting government, and in cutting government, what you're doing is laying off people. And in the back of your head, you'd never think about all these people that are being laid off, anywhere between 50 to 200,000, however they get there, that each one of those people have families, daughters, mothers, friends. Each one of those people are caretakers. Each one of those people subsidize restaurants and grocery stores and all these other things that makes a community. And all he can think about is making a presence with a chainsaw, making a caricature of himself and what he's doing to people, people's lives, real people's lives, harming people, not because he has to, but because he can. I want you to listen to this because not only is he doing this, but I think what he's doing in harming the government may speed up the power that the right will lose with Americans in general. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Thousands more government workers will be laid off after a federal judge on Thursday denied a bid by unions to stop the firings, clearing the way for President Trump and Elon Musk to continue shrinking the federal government. That plan includes cuts of up to 4,500 workers at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, more than 200 layoffs at TSA, and more than 6,000 at the IRS, right in the middle of tax season. Now, yesterday, at a conservative conference outside Washington, Elon Musk said he's going to push ahead with more cuts and wielded what the area called a chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask, like, how can you find waste in DC? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like, you're going to close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. You can't miss.
By the way, that chainsaw that you see there was a gift from the gentleman that you see holding it, the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, who used that chainsaw in his campaign for the presidency as a symbol of his push to cut the size of government in Argentina. But there is major blowback to the cuts from some voters here at home, including at a town hall in Georgia with Republican Congressman Rich McCormick.
Will you make sure hungry kids get fed and 5-year-olds aren't picking berries? Or are you going to...
I take education very seriously. I think AI can be transformative.
We're just school lunches. Why is this being jammed down the pipe so rushed and sloppily? So use a scalpel.
My understanding is when you say you have this many employees that you have to cut, that organization decides who they're going to cut. Now they may
It's clear from all the writings of our founding fathers that our great republic was never meant to be ruled by a dictator nor a king.
And, you know, today, more cuts could be in the works for the U.S. Postal Service. The Washington Post, citing 6 people familiar with the plans, is reporting that President Trump is expected to take control of the USPS and fire its board.
Again, Elon Musk is a psychopath. And this psychopath, who has no possibility of having empathy or care for anyone, is making sure that all those representatives that you find around the country whose districts will inevitably be harmed by the loss of jobs, not specific only to the federal government that they work for, but all the restaurants and all the shopping and all the car sales, all these things that are going to be harmed by these layoffs. I mean, what losing 200,000 people in an economy does is humongous, especially the way it is. DC will get harmed real bad. Alabama universities, all these areas are going to be harmed. But you know what gets harmed in the long run? We lose our edge, our research edge, the edge of creating new products, as a lot of these people start to get opportunities overseas. You know, the talent is still there. The job may not be there because Donald Trump and Elon Musk is too inept to understand what it looks like. But other countries are going to see that and open their arms and say, welcome. Welcome scientists, welcome researchers, welcome Americans who are hardest working people on the planet. Welcome to our country. You know, many African countries have already opened the door, and a lot of others are going to open the door to say, welcome. While you're trying to kick people out of your country, we welcome you. But here's the thing. In a country where the birth rate is declining, everything that Musk doing is anathema to the family structure that makes it plausible for folks to have kids or for folks to want to have kids. So he's destroying the government, he's destroying the family, he's destroying the economy. I want to pass it to our brother Howard and Jack before we finish up with Sandy.
Well, very interesting. Brian, thank you so much for your contribution, and thank you so much for your kind words this morning. We appreciate that. You are certainly welcome to call in anytime. Let's see. Jack, you got anything to round it up here?
No.
He says no.
And folks, I swear this is not a guilt trip. This is a responsibility trip. Remember how you felt when you woke up Wednesday morning in 2016, this first Wednesday in 2016 in November. Remember how you woke up again this last time in 2024 in November, and you said, wow, we almost got the right person in each of those elections, but we didn't. What could I have done? What could have nudged things a little bit? What informing of somebody else could have nudged something a little bit? I want you to think about that, really. Because this is not a guilt trip. This is a responsibility trip. That's what I took into heart. If I had done this much more, if I'd done a little bit more, if I'd supported this one thing a bit more. And that's what I'm asking you to look at when you're coming to us. So I ask you kindly, respectfully, give whatever you can, $5 a month, $10 a month, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right, and give whatever you can. You can do that even after the show goes off, which is going off in 30 seconds. You can do that still and still make a difference for this program, this station, this show. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.